this WrestleTalk news, a Becky and Charlotte backstage fight, WWE SUSPEND Brock Lesnar, reviews of SmackDown and Rampage and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
The main event angle of last night's SmackDown saw WWE tie up their roster draft's main loose end the only way they know how, by face planting in the gorilla position. In the draft, SmackDown Women's Champion Becky Lynch was drafted to Raw, and Raw Women's Champion Charlotte was drafted to SmackDown. So just like the New Day and Street Profits last October, they just swapped their respective brands' championships so everything remains color coordinated, making WWE title lineage questions in trivia quizzes even harder. Thanks, Adam! But while the New Day and the Street Profits happily handed over the belts last year, Flair and Becky are both big-time heels. Their main event segment had Charlotte refuse to hand over the belt, just throwing it on the floor instead. Definitely not an authority figure, Sonya Deville made her try again, where Becky threw her championship at Flair. It fits their characters. The problem is, some of this was reportedly a shoot. According to PW Insider, Flair had voiced concerns about the championship exchange segment before SmackDown went on air, because she didn't want to look weak, nor did she want her title reign to look weak during the segment. WWE officials went ahead with the segment as planned though, where Charlotte allegedly went into business for herself, pulling her title away from Becky and throwing it on the mat, which was not the way that exchange was expected to go. In response, Becky threw her SmackDown championship at Flair, which was also not part of the plan. The show then closed on Sasha Banks brawling with Charlotte, but PW Insider report as soon as Flair got backstage, there was a confrontation between Lynch and Flair over Flair allegedly disrespecting Lynch by trying to make her look bad. There were apparently loud words between the two, loud words name of your WWE pay-per-view, but did not get physical. Sean Ross Sapp then corroborated PW Insider's report. Apparently, a giant portion of the roster had already left the venue early because of the busy travel week with Crown Jewel, but word of the fight made its way round within an hour. This follows Ringside News' report this week where a longtime creative team member complained about Raw getting Becky in the draft, who everyone likes, whereas SmackDown got Charlotte, who is not popular behind the scenes. In addition to that, her real-life fiancé Andrade said back in March there is a lot of jealousy directed at Flair for her push backstage. This is also Charlotte's second in-ring shoot in 2 months, after a Raw TV match with Nia Jax broke down into an awkward slapping contest. She has also previously lost her cool in the ring in the TLC 2019 tag match, growing frustrated with Kairi Sane, who had just suffered an injury. Do you think Charlotte and Becky's fight was legit, or is this a Heyman-like leaked story to build excitement for their inevitable Survivor Series champion versus champion match next month? Let me know in the comments. I never thought I'd say this, but going by Andrade's tweet last night, maybe, soon, possibly, Charlotte Flair to AEW confirmed. The main event of last night's Rampage saw Pac vs Andrade 2, Pac vs Andrade Dos, where Pac got his win back. The match itself was fantastic, one of the best in Rampage's short but already illustrious history, and the post-match was just as exciting. Following Pac's win, Malachi Black appeared to spit mist in the bastard's face, which brought out Cody and Arn. I really like Guns Anderson for the save. The show closed with Black and Andrade standing side by side, while commentary played up their friendship, potentially setting up the start of a House of Black plus Andrade Mob Boss family faction, which Andrade celebrated by tweeting, "F you WWE." WrestleVotes quickly replied to that post with, "This is only the beginning of the story that unfolded tonight." This could mean a large number of things. Andrade being annoyed with his former contractor who never gave these guys a push in their company, a faction of former NXT stars in AEW, Chuck Miro in there too, John Cena to AEW. He said F you after all. Maybe he was there all along and we just couldn't, detect him with our eyes. Or Charlotte was trying to request her release and accidentally picked up Andrade's phone. Dave Meltzer has previously reported that Andrade wants to bring his friends and family into AEW, which would include his fiancée, Charlotte Flair. Given the last year the couple have had, which has seen a proposed reality show following them next, Andrade released by WWE, Charlotte removed from WrestleMania because of an incorrect pregnancy diagnosis, backstage heat rumors, and now 2 instances of being unprofessional on air. Maybe Charlotte is considering becoming All Elite. What do you think will happen to Flair? Let me know in the comments down below. At least last night's SmackDown started really well. Here's my review in about 5 minutes. It's the first show after Crown Jewel, which didn't have any awful booking decisions, and the flight left the country safely. Lowest possible standards achieved. The episode opened on a victorious Roman Reigns and a pretty scared-looking Paul Heyman. Reigns immediately called out Heyman for not throwing him the title in the Crown Jewel main event. This is easily the best story in WWE right now, and that angle has expertly drawn it out longer. Roman then listed off all the dudes he's smashed. Cesaro smashed him. Finn Balor smashed him. 16-time world champion John Cena. Oh, you better believe Roman smashed him. And most recently, Brock Lesnar smashed him. Brock had been quoted post-Crown Jewel saying he was going to smash Roman back on SmackDown. So Reigns stood in the ring until Lesnar confronted him, and confront him he did. Because Brock then just smashed everyone, like all the dudes. He was just chain smashing dudes left, right and center. Roman smashed. The Usos smash. A referee smashed. A guy in a suit smash. This bloke's camera smash. And hey, this is the SmackDown season premiere. There's a whole new roster to bury. Send out the goofs. Lesnar smashed Friday's entire new undercard too. This was not only incredibly exciting, it had substance too. Heyman's allegiances are still unknown. Maybe he hasn't even made up his mind yet. He loves both men. The more I watch his conflicted, upset performance, the more I see Miss Elizabeth caught between the mega powers imploding. But Lesnar wasn't done there. Definitely not an authority figure, Adam Pearce came out after the chaos to announce WWE is indefinitely suspending Lesnar because they've only paid him for a limited number of dates this year. I mean, because of all the dudes Brock just smashed. Can't smash a camera, Brock, they're expensive. And I guess referees have families too. Lesnar then came out so Pearce could say that again, because he's not sure he heard him right. And he hit not just one, but two F5s, walking off saying he still didn't hear him. So he's not suspended? I mean, yeah, I'm surprised too, but legally it checks out. This all took up the first third of the episode and was genuinely fantastic, with the exact right balance of spectacle and substance, really positioning Brock as a badass babyface. It's just a shame we likely won't see him again until next year. The rest of the show was either on autopilot because I imagine everyone was pretty tired from the flight back from Saudi Arabia that same day, or actively bad with the main event title swap. Drew McIntyre made his SmackDown re-debut by beating Sami Zayn in an open challenge. Kofi Kingston emceed King Xavier's coronation, but they actually managed to put the cloak on him that wouldn't fasten at Crown Jewel. This would have been a good time to set up the New Day's first program on SmackDown, but WWE took the rare choice of just celebrating a guy who accomplished his dream. That said, this felt like a nothing segment. Mansoor beat Ali again in a redo of their Crown Jewel match without a single random karate guy appearing. I want my money back! Xia Li, Ridge Holland and Aaliyah all got backstage promos or a video package to hype them being drafted to SmackDown, but the biggest showcase was rightly reserved for the most exciting NXT call-up, Hit Row. They got a squash match victory over some enhancement talent that didn't even get a name bar, although Pat McAfee did a really great job of getting them over as good local wrestlers. Best of all though, even more than the strong initial booking, was how little Hit Row's act has changed from NXT, both in that the main roster hasn't tinkered with their gear or their music or anything, and that they themselves performed in their supremely confident style despite being in front of a significantly larger crowd. Happy Corbin beat Shinsuke Nakamura in a championship contenders match, which was more just a battle of the sidekicks with Madcap Moss and Boogs brawl distracting Nakamura, and the main event was the aforementioned Becky and Charlotte title exchange. But how, Will? They coexist. Well, they didn't, like, not in the ring or backstage afterwards. Charlotte threw her title on the ground rather than hand it over, so Becky threw her title at Flair. Even though this was reportedly a shoot, it didn't actually make it exciting. Usually when real life bleeds into kayfabe, the tension increases. Going by this and the Jax match, when Flair does it, it gets worse. Banks came out afterwards to brawl with Charlotte, starting her first feud that can't really get going because of Survivor Series. What did you think of SmackDown? Let me know in the comments down below. The episode started off brilliantly with the Lesnar and Reigns angle, ended awfully with the Flair and Lynch stuff, with all the bits in between being basically nothing. There are only 4 matches that went about 15 minutes in total. It's like I'm watching the Queen's Crown tournament all over again. Overall, I think this levels out to a 3 out of 5. But what about AEW? Here's Tempest with a review of Rampage in about 5 minutes.
They're cheering my boy again. What's going on, WrestleTalk friends and fans? Tempest is back with another review of AEW Rampage. in about 3 minutes. So this show opened with the first round match in the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament as Orange Cassidy defeated Powerhouse Hobbs. This match was alright. It was mostly Powerhouse Hobbs attacking Orange Cassidy's injured back, wrapping him around the ring post and using the torture rack before Orange Cassidy was able to use a distraction from Hook to get the roll-up pin. I have a hard time getting into some of Orange Cassidy's matches. His big-time matches are always very good, and his more gimmicky matches are really fun, but these middle-of-the-road matches where he's not getting a lot of offense, but still not playing fully towards the gimmick, are kind of hard for me to digest. Because in a match like this, you had Powerhouse Hobbs getting all of the offense throughout, and then eventually getting rolled up for the pin. It wasn't bad, mind you, it's just not my favorite kind of match Orange Cassidy has. That being said, it was still entertaining. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. We then got an interview segment as Tony Schiavone interviewed Pentel Zero Miedo, but before the interview could actually get started, he was distracted by 2 guys in the crowd wearing the same mask that FTR wore last week, before getting jumped by FTR and left laying. Pac came out for the save, but it appears that we're going to be getting FTR versus the Lucha Brothers for the AEW World Tag Team Championships in the near future, possibly even at Full Gear. I know I wanted to see Santana and Ortiz get that big title shot, but I'm sure this match will still be good. This segment gets a 3 out of 5. We then had the AEW Women's Champion Britt Baker taking on Anna Jay. I thought this match was a lot of fun. Anna Jay has really come a long way in her short time in AEW, and Britt Baker has improved dramatically over the last 2 years. They had some really cool sequences in this match, with Anna Jay maintaining control of a chokehold before Britt Baker was eventually able to get a super kick in and lock in the lockjaw for the win. After the match, she continued the beatdown on Anna Jay before Ty Conti ran in for the save, and Ty Conti posed with the AEW Women's title after the match. It looks like we're getting this match at Full Gear, and sign me up for that. That one should be very, very good. I really enjoyed this match, and I really enjoyed that Britt Baker was able to get the win clean with no interference from the outside. I'm giving this a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. We got the reveal of the bracket for the TBS Championship Tournament, and there's a lot to look forward to, including another match between Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida in the first round. So much to look forward to, but I'm still going with Jade Cargill as the first champion. And then we got the main event as Pac took on Andrade El Idolo, and oh man, what a match this was. This match was even crazier than their first match on Rampage, and honestly, I think this might be the best match that Rampage has had, not including the Bryan Danielson Minoru Suzuki match. The two exchanged some really dangerous looking spots, but at no point did I think that either man was actually hurt. They did a fantastic job of hyping up the danger and maintaining an excellent flow during this match. Just as Pac secured the win with the roll-up, the lights went out, and when they came back on, Malachi Black was in the ring as he spit and missed in the face of Pac, perhaps leading towards his next rivalry after he's done with Cody. This of course led to Arn Anderson coming out to the ring and pulling out his make-believe Glock and firing it right in Malachi's face. Pew, 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 pew. This distraction allowed Cody Rhodes to make the save to a raucous ovation, and I, for one, am a big fan of Cody Rhodes, and I'm really happy to see AEW get the kind of reaction that they have been looking for this guy in this feud. I don't know if it'll be sustainable, but Miami loved Cody Rhodes on this night. It was a little bit weird to end this show with this angle, but they gotta set up the match for tomorrow. It didn't bother me that much. The match itself gets a 5 out of 5, an excellent main event. And that just about wraps it up for me. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on this show and last night's SmackDown, you can go over to WrestleTalk podcast later on today, where I will be breaking down both shows in complete detail. Until then, be beautiful and have a lovely weekend.
Thank you, Tempest. And I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who watched my Judas by Fozzy music video punishment yesterday. To answer the top comment, yes, I definitely chose to sing it badly. I didn't really try hard at all. It's all just something I put way more effort into was the Fantasy Booking Warfare Finals. It's me versus Laurie to decide who the best person not named Adam Blompier is at Fantasy Booking, where we're putting on our dream WWE versus AEW Supercard. It's just gone live, so watch it now.
Hello, I'm Adam, hailing from parts far known, and welcome to Fantasy Booking Warfare! The time is up, the time is now. It is time for our grand final of the Fantasy Booking Warfare Tournament. Head to head, Laurie versus Ollie, Mr. Davis versus El Fakador,